What's going on, in controllers? Okay, so I won't waste any of your time because I know you have a lot going on. So at the beginning of this series, we created a vision for our life, right? We daydreamed and thought about what we wanted our future self to look like. Then, in part 2, we learned a couple of tricks to setting goals that excite us, goals that are skill-based and challenging. So today, there's one more thing we want to teach you. And it was, wait, I know this. What was it? Oh, right, how to achieve your goals. Duh. So let's get into it. Sit back, relax, and put your conversations on hold and get ready to learn about how to reach your wildest dreams here on In Control. Okay, here's the first game changer, and we're gonna hit you with this right off the bat. And it might sting a little, so brace yourself. Nobody is responsible for your life and what happens with it except you. Nobody is responsible but you. Okay, so some of you might be like, yeah, duh. But some of you might be like, well, that's not fair. I didn't come from a good family, or my family doesn't have money, or I wasn't born with this skill or that skill. Like when stuff goes wrong in middle school, like we get in trouble or we get a bad grade or something like that. A lot of us can get caught up in finger pointing, right? Like it's their fault for this, or it's their fault for that, or it's my mom's fault for this, or my dad's fault for that, and my teacher's fault for this, or my friend's fault for that. You are responsible for your life. You are responsible for your achievements. You are responsible for the situations you put yourself in. And you are responsible for who you hang out with, how hard you work, and ultimately where you end up. So again, especially when it comes to goals, we have to understand nobody is responsible for our life, our choices, or our goals except for us. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is discipline. I'm not going to go into this whole big long thing about discipline, but here's a definition that we like. The self-practice of discipline means to train yourself to obey the rules that will lead you to success. Unsuccessful people become unsuccessful because of the choices they make along the way. So many people set goals, and then here's the crazy part. They do things on a daily basis that stop them from reaching their goal. It's nuts. Like how many guys say, I want to be in the NFL or the NBA? And then they go home and eat Takis and play Call of Duty for 6 hours until their parents yell at them. Doesn't make sense, right? Or how many of us want to be doctors or lawyers or engineers, but then we stay up till midnight on our phones instead of doing homework or studying? Or, this is my favorite, and I'm guilty of this from time to time. We make bad decisions, but we feel like they're not so bad to the point where it would stop us from reaching our goals. Like we know it's wrong, but like only a little wrong. So we convince ourselves that it doesn't really matter. Let me illustrate this for you, okay? So let's say we're going on a trip, and we know we want to go from Florida to LA. What's the fastest way to get there? A straight line, right? Right, you just go. Okay, now I want you to imagine that the pilot on the plane turns the steering wheel of the plane just slightly before she takes off. At first, no big deal, but as time goes on, you get further and further and further from where you wanted to end up. So if you didn't understand why I showed you this, let me make it clear for you. When you're trying to reach a goal, even small decisions have big impacts over time. They all add up to where you end up, and they can put you way off course if you let them. So we have people who don't realize their small decisions are ruining their chances of reaching their goal. And then we have these other people, and again, I can be guilty of this sometimes. They have a destination in mind, but they get distracted, and then they get distracted again, and again, and again. And then eventually, they either might get to their goal way later than they wanted to, or they forget where they even wanted to end up in the first place. So this all comes back to that concept of self-discipline that I shared with you earlier. You have to train yourself to obey the rules that will lead you to success. And you have to keep reminding yourself of those rules along the way so that you can always stay on course, even if it gets hard. So before we end this series on goals, we just want to say that we believe in you. No matter where you currently are right now, don't let that discourage you from setting big goals about where you want to be. Surround yourself with people that cheer you on in your journey, fight through the failures, keep setting challenging goals for yourself, and don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't do it, because you can. We're excited to see what happens next for you. We'll see you next time on In Control.